Hello Eastern, and welcome to the November 13th edition of ETV News. I'm Connor O'Malley.
And I'm Imani Futrell. Thank you so much for joining us.
We begin tonight with our top story. The people of Connecticut have spoken, and on Tuesday, they elected Ned Lamont as the next governor of Connecticut. After a long night Tuesday, Republican challenger Bob Stefanowski called Lamont and conceded Wednesday morning. Later that morning, Stefanowski held a press conference where he said he hopes the state can come together.
I've been saying it for a few weeks now. We need to have bipartisan to support to fix the state. Anything I can do or the Republican Party can do to help and get it moving, that's what's really the important thing. It's not about an election. It's about getting this economy moving and getting the people of Connecticut moving again.
But Stefanowski also believes he has a lot to be proud of from his time in the race.
Up and down, as you might expect, it was a really close race. We got more votes than any Republican in the history of the state of Connecticut, but the Democrats did a great job of getting the vote out. And I think it's great that we had a big turnout. I think it's reflective of that people really want change in this state, and I'm hoping that the next administration can do it.
Lamont only won the governorship by a slim 1.7% of the vote over Stefanowski. And earlier today, Lamont announced that Eastern President Elsa Nunez will be a part of his transition team.
There was a history made in Connecticut on Tuesday as Johanna Hayes was elected to the House of Representatives, making her the first African-American woman to represent Connecticut in the House. Hayes, the former National Teacher of the Year, ran for the seat vacated by Elizabeth Esty in the 5th District. She defeated Republican challenger Manny Santos by 11% of the vote.
On November 13th, from 11 to 1 in the Student Center lobby, Eastern will celebrate diverse cultures and traditions with a Native American Heritage Day of events. Starting at 11 a.m., there will be an opportunity to participate in demonstrations of natural medicines and jewelry design. At 12, there will be an interactive program featuring a variety of Native music led by Chris Newell, a singer and senior educator of the Mashantucket Pequot Museum. This event is free and open to the public.
On November 11th at 3 p.m., the music program will host the Willimantic Philharmonic Orchestra, a nonprofit community orchestra dedicated to the performance of symphonic orchestral music. Their upcoming concert will be featured works by Brian Balmages, Frank Milholland, and Antoine Diverja. This free and open to the public event will take place in the concert hall of the Fine Arts Instructional Center.
Tomorrow, Eastern Connecticut State University will be hosting a Veterans Day ceremony at 9 a.m. in the Student Center Theater. Refreshments will be served. This event is open to the public and is free for all of those who choose to attend.
Eastern Center for Community Engagement will host its 3rd annual Civic Action Conference on November 14th from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Johnson Community Room of the J. Eugene Smith Library. Registration begins at 9 a.m. The conference is organized into 4 overarching themes, each featuring a variety of subtopics such as the role of service learning in urban rival and career readiness via community-based projects. For more information, contact Kim Silcox at silcoxk@easternct.edu.
Eastern is going to make you laugh this upcoming weekend. Comedian Francisco Ramos will be coming to Eastern on November 15th of 2018. Ramos was one of the finalists in Last Comic Standing in 2015. He is an actor as well as a voice-over artist traveling around North America. The event will take place in the Betty Tipton Room, located in the Student Center starting at 8 p.m.
On November 10th at 2:30 p.m., the Charter Oak Brass Band, formerly Classic Brass, will celebrate their 30th anniversary season with a concert featuring highly anticipated new works in celebration of brass band performance in Connecticut. The Charter Oak Brass Band is a 28-piece musical ensemble whose distinctive sound comes from its all-brass instrumentation. Based on the British brass band model, the group combines cornets, trombones, and tubas with less familiar instruments to produce its unique, thrilling, and dramatic sound.
The work of Hartford-based digital artist Malam Soto is on display at the ECSU Art Gallery from November 1st to December 7th in the exhibition titled Interface. Blurring the line between spectator and participant, the exhibition allows visitors to manipulate the digital artwork by physically interacting with its components. Interactions cause fluctuations in sound and light projection. Eastern's Art Gallery is located in the Fine Arts Instructional Center. The gallery is free and open to the public on Tuesday and Wednesday, 11 to 5 p.m., Thursday, 1 to 7 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. For more information, call the gallery at 860-465-4659 or visit www.easternct.edu/artgallery. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Sierra Williams will be here with this week's editorial. Stay with us.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Hey ECSU, I'm Sierra Williams and thank you for joining me on this week's editorial. So if you haven't heard, elections are over and the votes have been counted. Congratulations to everyone who waited in lines, shaded perfectly inside the bubble, and got their bright "I voted" stickers. Although we don't do it for the stickers, we understand that the value of a vote is bigger than us individually, and we choose to contribute to change. While on my journey to getting to the polls, I ran into a couple of students on campus who decided that they wouldn't be taking part in the voting process. Majority of the answers I got were that they missed the absentee deadline and they didn't have time or the transportation to travel back home and vote in their town. Understandable. But a handful of people gave me reasonings like the lines of, "My one vote isn't going to get them to change policies," or "I don't know enough about politics, which is why I'm not going to go in and blindly vote," and lastly, which might have been my favorite, "My voice doesn't matter and the only thing that matters is money." Of course, I tried my best to argue them down into why voting is essential to being a young adult today, but they wouldn't let me change their minds. An article written in Science News states the single biggest predictor of whether or not people vote is education level, which has direct and indirect effects on voting. People are more likely to vote if they have information about the candidates and the process of voting. Higher levels of income and education find themselves living and working in the networks of other people who vote, he says. Other people who are disadvantaged in those ways are less likely to vote. So maybe if we can step it up here on Eastern's campus and educate the students on the candidates and political processes, then maybe we can get more votes in that will contribute to a change in our future. Thank you for joining me on this week's editorial. I'm Sierra Williams. Let's send it back over to Connor and Imani.
Thanks, Sierra. We'll be right back after these short messages.
I felt hopeless.
I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me.
Because of you, I felt wanted and not alone in this world.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included and I knew that I was going to be okay.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie. Nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Less than 24 hours after the midterm elections, it was announced that Attorney General Jeff Sessions has resigned from the position at the request of the president. Trump has been at odds with his Attorney General since last year, when Sessions recused himself from the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Sessions' Chief of Staff, Matthew Whitaker, will act as Attorney General until a permanent replacement is named.
Jesus Christ in heaven.
Specific scope to this investigation, and anything that is outside of Russian coordination or the 2016 campaign would be outside of the scope of that investigation. And I think Rod Rosenstein, who I served with in the Department of Justice, agreed with me.
The midterm elections were held on Tuesday, and the Democrats gained the majority in the House of Representatives, now with a 25-seat majority, while the Republicans added to their majority in the Senate with now a 5-seat majority. President Trump spoke on Wednesday about the Republicans' victory in the Senate.
This election marks the largest Senate gains for a president's party in a first midterm election since at least President Kennedy's in 1962. There have been only 4 midterm elections since 1934 in which a president's party has gained even a single Senate seat.
Democrats also have things to celebrate, and Nancy Pelosi, the favorite to be the next Speaker of the House, believes Tuesday's elections was a referendum on the House of Republicans.
Voters delivered a resounding verdict against congressional Republicans' attacks on Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act and people with pre-existing conditions in districts everywhere in America. They went in a new direction, a House that will, now they want a new direction, a House that will work to make progress in the lives of America's families and seniors.
Some races are still too close to call, but both President Trump and Nancy Pelosi said on Wednesday they hope to have both houses of Congress work together to pass meaningful legislation.
President Trump had a press conference on Wednesday where he talked about a number of topics, including the Republicans' win in the Senate.
It was a big day yesterday, an incredible day. And last night, the Republican Party defied history to expand our Senate majority while significantly beating expectations in the House for the midterm and midterm year. We did this in spite of a very dramatic fundraising disadvantage driven by Democrats, wealthy donors, and special interests, and very hostile media coverage, to put it mildly.
He also had a few confrontations with the White House press corps, including CNN's Jim Acosta.
That, well, if you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in
Not
this
at all.
election
No, not
to
at all.
try to keep?
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true.
But
they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. Right. These were people. This was an actual, you know, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much better.
if I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask
Peter,
one other
go ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President,
That's
I was
enough.
going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse
President,
me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the
House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders announced that the press pass of Acosta is suspended, saying in part, as a result of today's incident, the White House is suspending the hard pass of the reporter involved until further notice.
On Monday, the U.S. Olympic Committee said they are starting to take steps to decertify USA gymnastics as an official U.S. Olympic sport. Since the conviction of former USA gymnastics team, Dr. Larry Nassar, there have been questions raised over whether the sport could make a comeback. The USOC CEO Sarah Hersland wrote, "We believe the challenges facing the USA gymnastics are simply more than it is capable of overcoming in its current form. This move has the approval of Olympic champion Ali Raisman, who said in a tweet, 'I believe this is a significant step forward that is necessary for the overall health and well-being of the sport and its athletes.'"
Breaking Bad fans don't have to wait anymore. A film sequel to the hit series is reportedly in the works. Breaking Bad followed the life of high school chemistry teacher turned drug dealer Walter White. The movie is expected to follow the life of White's sidekick Jesse Pinkman, played by Aaron Paul, who won several awards for the role. This isn't the first spin-off from the original series. Prequel to the original show, Better Call Saul, just wrapped up its 4th season in October.
We're going to take another quick break, but we'll be back with Jack Petrucci and his sports update.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
doesn't see race. Love is love.
Welcome back. I'm Jack Petrucci with this week's Sports Update. The women's volleyball team was on the brink of history over the past weekend, trying to do something that hasn't been done since 2007, win the Little East Conference Tournament Championship. On Friday night, they were matched up against Rhode Island College in the Little East Conference semifinal. In Eastern Connecticut, as I mentioned, trying to do something that has not been done since 2007, but Megan Silver-Drosch trying to seek her first championship appearance of her head coaching career, while the Anchor women were trying to make their first championship appearance since 2006. To start off the game, Abby Stern with a clean ace, the sensational sophomore getting Eastern Connecticut on the board, and then later on in the set with just a couple points to get, it's Anna Berry who would just be locked in. That time off the feed from Mackenzie Managia, and well, one more time, Anna Berry right down the middle there, and well, you guessed it, Anna Berry again, and she was actually just named Little East Conference Rookie of the Year in the Little East Conference, and then over on that far side, this time showing off her agility going over, and yeah, once again, this time from Leah Sobneski, just spiking it right home there. She led the team with 14 kills in the semifinal, and then with just a couple more plays to get, this one gets batted around, and Eastern Connecticut wraps it up there. They're moving on to the Little East Conference Championship game for the first time since 2014. And as I mentioned, that clean sweep over Rhode Island College punched their ticket to the Little East Conference Championship game, which means, of course, we have another highlight for you. And here we go now, the Warriors seeking their first championship title since 2007. It's coming against their arch rival, the Keene State Owls. And early on in this one, Mackenzie Managia sets up Abby Stern right down the middle there. Nothing the Owls defenders can do about that one, putting Eastern Connecticut on the board early. And then this time, Leah Sopneski back out to Madison Bell, and it's Abby Stern once again hitting that right into the back row, leaving the Owls defense with some confusion. And then Mackenzie Managia, one more point to get in set number one. That one gets set over and would get blocked right at the front there, and the Owls would be called with a service error. So that gave Eastern Connecticut the first set and a 1-0 overall match lead. A great start to the championship game. But in the second set, a little bit different story as Elytra Long, that one just goes left, giving the Owls a point. And with Keene State already leaving early, this time she sets it over. Mackenzie Managia tries to give that to Jackie Orlowski, but it gets blocked right at the net. So the Owls have an early 4-0 lead in this one. And then with just one more point to get, Abby Stern tries to set that one over, and a perfect placement over on that far side. So the Owls take set number two, which means they tie the overall match at 1-1 apiece. But then in the third set, Eastern Connecticut would come right back as Leah Sopneski, again, the beautiful find there to sophomore Abby Stern, putting the Warriors on the board. And then just a couple of plays later, that one gets batted around. Leah Sopneski over that time to Elytra Long, another perfect placement. That gave Eastern Connecticut the set victory, the 2-1 overall match lead. Actually, just a couple more plays as that one gets spiked over, and that's the play that would give them the set victory as they take a 2-1 overall match lead. One more point to get here for the title. But in the fourth set, it was freshman Anna Berry who would just be absolutely locked in. Here's another look at it once again off that feed from Mackenzie Managia. And then, well, here she is again. Mackenzie Managia sets her up perfectly there. That one deflected all the way over to the Owls bench there. And you can see the team absolutely loving it. And Managia, how about one more time? Right there, that time, nothing Keene State could do about it. Anna Berry was just absolutely locked in. And now 21 points, just a couple more points to get. Abby Stern right down the middle. Here it is again, this time the set going cross court from Leah Sopneski. And Eastern Connecticut 1 point away from the Little East Conference title.
Keene State needs to score 3 in order to force extra points here. Free ball. Bunker will have that one. Wilson. Matthew. Bell the dig. Managia for Orlowski, and the senior wins it! Jackie Orlowski with the final kill. Eastern Connecticut takes the fourth set 25-21. Your 2018 LEC champions, Eastern Connecticut State University.
Freshman Anna Berry named the most outstanding player of the tournament after having an unbelievable weekend in the Little East Conference Tournament. And Eastern Connecticut, for the 7th time in their program history, gathering the Little East Conference Championship, their first since 2007, and they are 2018 Little East Conference champions. And of course, with winning the conference tournament, Eastern Connecticut will be headed to Providence, Rhode Island to take on Johnson and Wales, the #2 team in the country. The game will be played on Friday, November 9th at 8 o'clock, and the live stream link could be found at www.gowarriorsathletics.com. And to round out the volleyball regular season, head coach Megan Silver-Drosch was named Little East Conference Coach of the Year, while freshman Anna Berry was named Little East Conference Rookie of the Year. Going on to the men's soccer team, they fell to upstate-minded rival Western Connecticut in the Little East Conference semi-final last Saturday. Despite that loss, the Warriors received a lot of attention in the Little East Conference End of the Year awards. After tying Thomas Nevers for the most wins in ECSU men's soccer history, head coach Greg DeVito was named Little East Conference Coach of the Year for the 3rd time in his career. Joining him in these awards were freshman Patrick Ageman, who received Little East Conference Rookie of the Year, and junior Nick Starkowski, who was named Defensive Player of the Year. Despite losing in the Little East Conference semifinal this year, the Warriors only lose one senior from their roster and look very experienced coming into next fall. As for the women's soccer team, they also got a lot of attention at the end of the season. They had Allie Clark, Linnea Rich, and Hannah Goodale make the first team all-conference. That's the most of any of the 9 teams in the Little East Conference. As well as these 3, Warriors had Kayla Lebrecht and Anna Manzer named to the second team. And that'll do it for this week in Sports Eastern. Until next week, I'm Jack Petrucci.
Thanks, Jack. That's it for this week's show.
Thank you so much for joining us.
To keep up to date with all things ETV News, be sure to follow us on Instagram at ETVNews_ and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And if you have any ideas for things you'd like to see on the show, email us at etv@my.easternct.edu. I'm Imani Futrell.
And I'm Connor O'Malley. We'll see you next week, Eastern.